Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. This is Kyra and today I'm going to be showing you how to put together these adorable little Christmas mini books. Now these are not an actual mini book kit. These are from our Christmas covers and spines and some of our Christmas scrappy papers that I kind of shrunk down and turned into mini books. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. These are kind of great for decorating your tree or putting into a stocking as like a stocking stuffer. So let's get right into it. So I've gone ahead and printed out some covers and spines on cardstock, and I went ahead and shrunk these down from their original size to a slightly smaller mini book size. And I just did that by going into my printer settings and going under, you might have one that's called size or multiple or something like that. And I shrunk them down to 6 a page so that everything would fit. And I did that for my spines as well as my covers. So just remember whatever size you choose that you're matching your spines and your covers so that they, match up. You don't want one to be too big or too small. And I just printed these out on cardstock, just regular plain cardstock, and I chose a variety of different covers and spines to pick from. There are even more than the ones shown here, but I just kind of grabbed a few that I liked. And for inside of my books, I'm taking some of these Christmas scrappy papers as well as some lined paper, and I will link everything down in the description box so you can find these if you're looking for them. And these are just printed one-sided on regular paper, nothing fancy. My printer doesn't print borderless, so I'm gonna actually have to go through and cut off these borders here. But once that's done, I only need 2 sheets of paper per book. That's what I'm using today. So to start, I'm just going to grab one. I'm going to flip it over to the back, and taking one of my book covers that I cut out here, I'm going to use it as a guide to kind of mark off how long to make my pages. So I'm trying to use up as much of this paper as possible. There is going to be a little bit of unused extra scrap paper left over, and my sister actually has a tutorial making ornaments with scrap paper and mini books, so I will link that in case anyone is interested. But next, I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side here, just marking off 2 sections that are the same sort of length as my book. And I'm going to cut those strips out. And again, using my cover on the back, I'm going to mark off the width. And this is going to give us a guide for folding. So we're going to fold right along that line here, just like this. It doesn't matter which direction you fold it. I'm just folding it this way so I can see my guide. And we're going to do an accordion fold or a fan fold here. And as you go along, you want to make sure to try to keep things as straight as possible. If you cut things a little crooked, that's okay. We can always trim things down later, but just try your best to keep things as straight as you can. And then just continue on folding back and forth, lining up your edges like this. We want to keep these even portions. So go ahead and crease that. And then we're just going to continue that process, folding it back and forth until we get to the end of our strip. And when you do that, you might have a little bit of extra left over that you'll need to trim off, depending on the size of your book. So, just keep that in mind. And if you have that, just take some scissors and cut off any extra. And we're going to be doing this with both of our little strips here. And that's going to kind of give us one singular signature. All right, just like this. So go ahead and do that to your second strip here. And I'm going to do that exact same process again, but this time with my lined paper. And if you wanted to, you could just use lined paper if you just want writing space. And you could also use just decorative paper if you're only looking for something decorative. It's kind of up to you. And then once you have each of these signatures, they can be put back to back, and that's going to kind of give you your thickness for your journal. So maybe just figure out which spine you want to use. I'm going to be using this third one here for all of my books. I'm making 3 mini books today. And I think that is going to be a good size for these 4 signatures. Again, if you wanted, you could always make more signatures and make things thicker if you want to, but I'm just going to make one book with 4 signatures in it. So 4 signatures only takes 2 sheets of paper, so I'm going to go ahead and take a few more sheets of paper here and make the remaining signatures / pages for my other mini books off camera. All right, so once that is done, you can see I'm going through and just choosing some of my covers and spines here. You could use the same covers on the front and back, or you can use different ones like I did. Just kind of go through and pick your favorites. And typically these kits come with a template to secure them together, the spine and the covers. However, to keep things simple today, I didn't want to print out a million of those little templates and cut them all out. So I'm just taking a piece of cream colored cardstock here, and I'm going to be gluing my covers and spines down to it. This is a little bit more of a ham-fisted way of doing this, but since they're mini books, I wasn't so worried about the construction of them compared to like a full-sized journal. This will do in a pinch and keeps things just a little bit easier as we go along. So remember that whichever cover is on the right side is going to be the front cover, so try not to get them swapped if you have a preference. And then we're just gluing them down side by side like this and cutting them out. And now that they're all secured via this one piece of cardstock, I am going to be folding them between the covers and the spine like this. And don't worry if the cover or spine lift up just a little bit. Once you kind of crease everything, they'll flatten back down again. So go ahead and give them a good crease. This might be something you want to do once your glue is dry, so keep that in mind as well. I'm kind of a hasty crafter, so I'm just plowing right along right now, but you might want to wait for the covers and spine to be completely dry before doing this so that they don't accidentally shift around. But go ahead and just crease them like this, and this is going to give us kind of our base book shape here. And you can see that you can sort of see some of the edges between the covers. So if you want to take the extra step, you can grab some distress ink. I'm using the color Vintage Photo. Again, this is linked in our Amazon influencer shop down in the description box if you're interested. And I'm just going around all of the edges on the inside and the outside between the covers, between the spines, and that's going to make it look a little bit more like a single cohesive piece. Alright, so this next part is optional, but I like to trim my signatures down just a little bit so that my pages are slightly smaller than my covers. You don't have to do that, I just kind of like the way that looks. And then for attaching our signatures, we're going to be turning them into one long piece. So take two of them, and we're going to be grabbing the ends of them, and we're going to glue them together back to back like this. And I'm using Fabri-Tac glue, which is a non-water-based glue, so it doesn't wrinkle the paper, which is really helpful when you're doing projects like this one, where you need everything to be kind of straight and aligned. So again, that will be linked in our Amazon shop if you're interested. It is a little expensive, but it's kind of worth it for the projects that we work on. So and then feel free to trim up any pages that don't match up perfectly. It's okay if things aren't perfectly cut, you know, we're just trying our best here. And we're going to continue that process of gluing our signatures back to back to back like this until all four of them are connected end to end. So just keep doing that as you go along here. And again, you might have more than 4 signatures if you wanted more pages, so you know, just use however many you have. But once all of these are connected, you should have one long signature kind of like this. And don't worry if you have pieces that are kind of like sticking out like that, that's perfectly normal. Main thing is we wanted them to just be all connected like this. And that way, when they're all scrunched up, they create pages just like this, front and back. And we want those to kind of have a little bit of like rigidity to them. So I'm going to be adding glue on the back here like this, and gluing them kind of together, just following the natural fold of the accordion like this. So go ahead and keep adding glue page by page here on the back, gluing everything down. Just make sure that you don't add any glue to the very last end pieces, because these are what we're going to use to actually glue it into our cover. But you should see that they can flip like this, and now you've got some solid book pages for your mini book. And again, if you want to take the extra step, you can go over your pages with some distress ink just to make them look a little bit older. You could also tear them or like shred them up a little bit if you have a paper shredder or something like that. And then once you're all done with the distressing of the pages, we can go ahead and add them to the journal. So go ahead and take your last 2 pages, like the front page and the last page of the signature, and we're going to glue them into the front and back cover of the book just like this. So go ahead and add some glue, and you don't want the glue to be too close to the edge, like the outside edge of the cover, because the pages are going to get pulled in just a little bit to kind of like line up the signature with the spine. You'll see what I mean in a little bit here. So go ahead, take this first back panel here like this, just glue it in, and then I'm gonna kind of adjust things and attach it to the front cover, trying to get it centered in my spine here while the glue is still wet. And then I like to actually use a bone folder within the creases of the front and back cover here, and that just kind of pushes them into the spine a little bit and causes the signature to kind of form to the shape of the book a little bit better, so that it's not pulling away from the spine so much. So just like that, and there you go. There are all of our pages in our little mini book, and here's where I'm talking about where it kind of pulls away from the spine a little, or the cover a little bit, so that's why I go over those with some distress ink, and you don't need glue so close to the edge. But go ahead and finish up adding any little creases you want to make, and there you go. Now you've got all of your pages. Feel free to decorate them as much as you want. You could add little pockets or little writing or little bookmarks or anything you want in here. I'm going to be keeping my decorating fairly simple today. I won't be putting too much in the pages themselves. However, I'll do just a little bit of light decorating to give you an idea of what you might want to try. So for one of the things I did was I took some scrap ribbon I had, like some thin trim, and I'm just going to glue it down to the edges of some of the pages here. I actually had enough ribbon to add it to every page, and then I went ahead and trimmed them down and added a little bit of distress ink to this lighter ribbon. I still wanted it to look kind of aged, so that's kind of a little trick I'm doing for that. And then on my second book, I decided to decorate the spine a little bit, just using a bow and some buttons. The bow is from Amazon and it is linked in our shop if you're interested. And the buttons come from a thrift store, so you'll kind of have to find your own buttons for that. But just a little bit of decorating kind of elevates the book a little bit and makes it look like you took a little more time and care. And for my last book here, I'm going to be grabbing some of these Christmas themed charms that I had, as well as a mini paper clip. Now you could use a full-sized paper clip as well for this. It'll just hang, like your charm will hang a little bit lower on your spine. And then taking some string here, I just had some plain white string. I'm gonna loop it through the bottom of my paper clip like this. And I folded the string in half so that when I pull it through, it's going to make a loop of its own here, where I can pull the sort of loose ends through that loop, and it's going to create a knot. And I'm going to try to pull it as tight as I can to make sure that that knot stays, but you may want to tie your strings together in another knot if you're worried about this slipping at all. And then to add my charms, I'm just kind of looping them onto the ends of the string, and I'm kind of trying to figure out where I want them to land, how high or how long I want them to be. And once I find a place I'm happy with, I'm just going to tie the string in a knot. And I did stagger them to make them slightly different heights. This did take a little bit of time to get them to tie off right where I wanted to, so, you know, be patient with yourself as you do this. And feel free to double knot your string if you want to make sure the charms aren't going to fall off. But once I had them where I wanted them, I'm cutting off the extra, and this is kind of what that simple charm looks like. And I'm just tucking it onto the spine behind the pages like this, and now I've got kind of a cute little dangly spine charm. And then to finish off, you could tie some like twine around your book if you want to keep them closed and kind of give them a cute Christmas present look. But otherwise, that is going to finish up today's Christmas mini book tutorial. Like I mentioned earlier, these would make really cute Christmas tree decorations or fun little stocking stuffers, or if you just want to put them around like your house as like Christmas decorating. And it was also just a kind of a fun way to spend the day. It didn't take a lot of effort, and it was pretty simple to put together, but I enjoyed the process. So I hope that you'll give these little mini books a try. Thank you so much for crafting with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future Christmas crafts, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!